The regular meeting of the Aurora City Council is called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner. Here. Councilmember Bergen.
Here.
Councilmember Coombs.
Present.
Councilmember Jurinski.
Here.
Councilmember Lawson.
Here.
Councilmember Marcano.
Present.
Councilmember Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Murillo.
Present.
Councilmember Sumberg.
Here.
And Councilmember Zvonik.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Announcement for the public call-in line.
City Council welcomes feedback from the public on both matters appearing on the agenda and during public invited to be heard. If you would like to speak and have not already spoken to an operator, please press *3. For those watching on Channel 8, call 855-695-3475 and press *3 when connected. You will hear a prompt confirming you're in line to speak to an operator and then be able to continue listening to the meeting. When the operator comes on the line, please be ready to give them your name and agenda item you wish to speak on. Keep in mind you must press *3 before the city clerk reads the title of the item you wish to speak on. Finally, as a reminder, council does not allow comments about any items on the agenda during public invited to be heard. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes, and public invited to be heard is limited to 1 hour in total.
El Consejo Municipal de la Ciudad de Aurora da la bienvenida a la opinión de sus habitantes y otros vecinos en asuntos comparecientes en la agenda y durante la invitación a la audiencia. Esta sesión tiene disponible interpretación en español. Por favor, háganos saber si usted necesita ese servicio. Recuerde que el Consejo no permite comentarios de la audiencia mientras se dirigen asuntos de la agenda del día. Por favor, confirme su turno y espere a la invitación para comentarios públicos. Gracias.
Please join me in a moment of silence to remember the lives lost during 9/11 and the wars that followed. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Executive session, negotiations. Executive session update. Negotiations were discussed. Approval of the minutes for August 28th, 2023. Motion is in order.
So moved.
It's
Murillo.
been moved by Councilmember Murillo, seconded by
Bergen.
Councilmember Bergen to approve the minutes for August 28, 2023. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for the question on the approval of the minutes from August 28, 2023.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Mayor Kaufman.
Oh, yes.
Councilmember Jurinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Sumberg. The motion passes.
Land acknowledgement. The City of Aurora acknowledges that we gather on the territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Ute, Arapaho, and Lakota peoples, past and present. We also recognize the 48 contemporary tribal nations that are historically tied to the lands that make up the state of Colorado. Indigenous peoples have remained committed to the stewardship of this land over many centuries. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties that these nations have to their traditional homelands and to their vital place in the ecosystem are renewed and reaffirmed, and we are called to be better stewards of the land we inhabit as we continue to work to meet the needs of our entire community. Proclamations. Is there anybody here to receive the POW MIA Recognition Day Minute of silence. Whereas on August 18, 1978, Congress, by a joint resolution approved, called on the President to issue a proclamation asking the people of the United States to observe POW MIA Recognition Day, a day to honor the sacrifices of Americans prisoners of war, Americans missing in action and their families, and whereas since President Carter issued the first POW MIA Recognition Day proclamation on June 4th, 1979, every president has declared a period on that day that the people of the United States might unite and honor the sacrifices of more than 138,000 POWs and 81,600 MIAs and their families, and whereas our nation endures and flourishes because of the piety of our servicemen and women who, from years and generations, have been accountable for our national security for over 2 centuries, and whereas the city of Aurora would like to enhance the observation of POW MIA Day by designating September 15, 2023 at 3 p.m. as a time to remember and appreciate prisoners of war, those missing in action, and their families whose extreme sacrifice has sustained our nation and preserved our liberties and freedoms. Now, therefore, I, Mike Coffin, Mayor of the City of Aurora, Colorado, do hereby proclaim September 15, 2023 at 3 p.m. as POW MIA Recognition Day, Minute of Silence. Encourage the residents of Aurora to pause for a minute of silence to honor, reflect, and remember the precious lives lost while in service to the nation. A witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Aurora, Colorado to be affixed this 11th day of September 2023. Mike Coffin, Mayor, Aurora, Colorado. Please introduce yourself and share with us a few words.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Jenna Long. I'm from the Veterans Affairs Commission of Aurora. I just wanted to say thank you so much for, it's my honor to receive this, and thank you so much for acknowledging the prisoners of war and those missing in action and their families. There are many people who have been, many service members who have been prisoners of war and returned home. There's still tens of thousands that have not, and I appreciate you honoring those heroes. Thank you so much. Sorry, thank you.
Thanks for your service to our country. Those here for Constitution Week, please come down as well. Okay. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government and a republic dedicated to the rule of law. And whereas September 17, 2023 marks the 236th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designated September 17th to the 23rd as Constitution Week. And whereas if receiving federal funding, educational programs on the United States Constitution are required during this week by any public schools and required on September 17th at institutions of higher education for students served by the institution. Now, therefore, I, Mike Hoffman, Mayor of the City of Aurora, Colorado, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th to the 23rd, 2023 as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm The ideals of framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through the guardian of our liberties. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Aurora, Colorado to be affixed this 11th day of September 2023. Mike Hoffman, Mayor, Aurora, Colorado. Would you like to introduce yourself and introduce those with you?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Megan Sweeney. I am the regent for the Tollgate Creek chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution. We have a few members with us tonight. This is Jody, Judy, Teresa, and Betty. And on behalf of all of the Tollgate Creek Daughters, we'd like to thank you for recognizing Constitution Week. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Before we commence with public invited to be heard, I want to make an announcement about it. Council has created a public forum and wants to receive citizen input. Creating a public forum is not a legal requirement, but since Council has created the opportunity, First Amendment protections apply. This forum provides the most protection for free speech and is the most scrutinized speech by the courts. You are asked to follow the same rules that Council follows. Attacks of a personal nature are not permitted. Causing a disturbance is not allowed. Children may be present or may be hearing the broadcast of this meeting. We would ask you to refrain from using profanity. The mayor has been requested by Council to admonish speakers for noncompliance. We ask that you respect those who are speaking, whether you are in agreement with the content or not. Outbursts from the audience are not permitted, and we request you refrain from clapping, snapping, cheering, or booing to allow everyone the opportunity to be heard. Council should be given opportunity to address staff, to exchange contact information when the speaker is at the podium. Council may clarify statements related to any speaker's comments at the conclusion of public invited to be heard, but shall not enter into debate with the speakers. Public invited to be heard.
Mayor, we have a few speakers. The first one is Ryan Stitzel, followed by KDOT. Okay, we don't see Ryan Stitzel, so KDOT, you have 3 minutes.
Mike Coffin, screw what you just said. I don't give a good goddamn. Another thing, the person who said, get out of here, your mom's a bitch. Anyway, like I said.
Personal attacks not permitted.
Are you denying me my First Amendment right, sir? Are you denying my First Amendment right? Huh?
I believe the city attorney.
Are you denying my First Amendment right? I'm asking you a question. No. Because that's also against the law. We can play your game all you want to, because I'm actually on behalf here on Jordell Richardson, the young boy who was shot and murdered by your agency. It's an absolute travesty that this family has to go through this horrible ordeal because you guys fail to protect them as city council members. And also, I'm gonna get on you too, Jason, as the city manager. Not okay. You guys need to do way fucking better. Go ahead. We can go in court all you want to. I promise you I'll win. First Amendment right. That is the first and the highest law of the land. So try me if you want, attorney Daniel. Don't try me, because you'll lose. This community needs to come together and support this family because you failed this family at the end of the day. And that's all I have to say. And you guys need to put in pre-certifications as far as making sure this doesn't happen to another 14-year-old or 13-year-old or 12-year-old or 10-year-old. You failed the city of Aurora, period, including these children. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Next, we have John Palmer, followed by Kate Crowell.
"102 days. It has been 102 days since Jordell Richardson was shot by Rock Rzechka and James Snap, two Aurora PD officers from Precinct 1, the same precinct who murdered Elijah McClain 4 years ago. 102 days, the Richardson family and their loved ones have had to go without answers. They've had to go knowing that they're not going to get any justice for their son because he's not going to come home. Jordell has not been able to start high school. He did not get to spend time with his friends over the summer. He has not been able to see the birthdays of his family members, his father's birthday, which, by the way, is just a day before mine. Jordell was a valued member of our community, and he was 14 years old. When Aurora PD or any police district kills a child, that is a crime. That is a police crime. And it is despicable that the city attorney, that the district attorney, that the Colorado Attorney General have not held these two officers accountable. The attitude and the actions of Chief Acevedo in characterizing Jordell's toy as a weapon for over a week and waiting so long to tell the family and the public, unacceptable. Jordell Richardson's killers need to be fired. They need to have criminal charges against them for murder. Acevedo needs to go. Everything that the family has been asking for, it has been 102 days since it's been got. And tomorrow's going to be another 103. So my question for the city council is, what are y'all going to do? How many more days is this family, how many more days is this community going to have to wait? Because we're sick and tired of waiting. We're still waiting to hear what the charges on Elijah McClain are going to be brought forth. Yes, they've been brought forth in a criminal court. Yes, we're still waiting, but we're still waiting for those charges to actually be executed, for those officers to be convicted. I call upon the city council to do everything in its power, to do everything in its influence, to have charges brought against those two officers, against Rock Rzechka and James Snap, to get Acevedo out of office. We need to see community control of our police. We need to see community control of all of our different institutions, but particularly the police, because that is where the majority of our money goes, and that is where the power is in our cities, the armed power, that is. All of you need to be doing better for our community, for this family, for the city of Aurora.
Kate Crowell, followed by Robbie DeYoung.
So I'm Kate Crow. I've lived in the metro area for 15 years, and I'm also here to speak about Jordell Richardson and the pervasive and systemic violence that APD has perpetrated on the people of this community for decades. I first spoke before you all in 2019 after the murder of Elijah McClain, when his mother and his family asked community members to demand justice for their family and their son. That meeting was so impactful to me in that it showed that committed groups of residents can advocate for the kind of region that we want to live in, and that first and foremost, that the most vulnerable and the youngest members of our communities can live happy, safe, and free. It's 2023, and we've just passed the 4-year date of Elijah's murder in August 24th, 2019, and only one of those officers was ever even fired, and that was for a violation of the social media policy. Just now, the paramedics and officers have been indicted after considerable intervention at the state level, and just now those cases are proceeding to trial. As has been mentioned, his family wants to have the officers who murdered him indicted and fired, and to have the interim police chief fired, and that's completely warranted. Everyone who is in a position of authority in this has shown their true colors on this more than once. I'll just say, when I was Jordell's age, I shoplifted, I wore hoodies. I didn't deserve to be murdered for those choices, and neither did he. I'm a teacher, and I spend my days surrounded by young adults who are not much older than him, and I'm heartbroken and I'm furious that his life was taken before he could even get into high school, let alone college. His life mattered, and it still matters. I hope that the DA reverses his decision to pursue indictments, but I know he won't unless we make it so that he has no other choice. I hope that the city council, especially with the election coming up, decides that the police department hasn't shown itself worthy of the enormous chunk of money that comes out of the city budget every year, but I know that that won't happen unless you all see this as something worth pursuing. And it becomes politically expedient for you to do so. And I just want to close by saying I know a lot of you are parents and that you have kids who are not much different in age than Jordell, and I hope that when you go home and you hug your kids, that you make sure and you make a choice that you refuse to let another family experience this incredibly preventable grief ever again. Thank you.
Robbie DeYoung, followed by Tanya Tabachek.
Council, Mayor. There is a state statute, number 42-4-1803. It outlines for each and every city how many are what to do about abandoned vehicles. Aurora has something added to that statute that a lot of other cities don't. And that is that they require that a police officer be at the abandoned vehicle when the tow company comes to pick it up. Now, we don't have enough officers to go around to do that. So they ask off-duty officers to come out to be there at a vehicle that needs to be towed. Anytime this month, next month, the month before, months down the line, on any given day, there are 300 abandoned vehicles that are just out there waiting to be picked up. Now, we have a team with the police department called Traffic Service Representatives. Why can't we have them go to where these abandoned vehicles are located? I've had abandoned vehicles in my neighborhood, and these two in particular, the last two, they had everything about them that screamed that they were stolen. But after investigating that, I found that neither one of them had been stolen. But they sure looked like they'd been stolen. And these vehicles were in the path of where children were going to Arrowhead Elementary. And they'd see these vehicles with their bashed-in windows and their torn-off side mirrors. And they were torn apart. One of the vehicles, as I've stated before, even had the keys still in it. And they were there for weeks before they were finally moved. But I am being told now that it can not only take 4 to 7 weeks before an abandoned vehicle is moved, but it could actually even take longer than that, because there has to be a police officer available when the vehicle is towed off. Now, I find that unreasonable, and I I do not accept that as an answer, especially when we can have our traffic service representatives come and do that job for them. Thank you.
Next, we have Tanya Tabachuk, followed by S.B. Ford.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. While I worked today, I was looking at things and reviewing things, and the main things that came up to my viewpoint with the election coming up in November, which is a very big deal, is homelessness and crime and safety. I know that there's a lot of resolutions for the homelessness, like that big area that is being built far off. But within crime and how serious it is, and like with the homelessness, we need to prove that Aurora is the best city it can be. In addition, I know that I've been reading news about villages maybe coming here, and they said it's not a dead set zone, but we need to pursue that. That would give business to Aurora. If not, villages, something like Fiddler's Green, which is in Greenwood Village. We don't have a concert venue that like Ed Sheeran or Carrie Underwood could come to. That could bring business to us as well. So I just wanted to bring my viewpoint and stress that with the election, like I said, coming up, those that are running for election again or running for a different position, that you need to stress to the public like the concerns of the safety, the homelessness, crime, and so forth. Bring it up now. I mean, it's November. I know November is far off, but the sooner you bring it up, the sooner you present your ideas, the sooner the public can hear both sides and everyone's idea, because you guys are our city council, and we need to hear from you regarding this concern. And regarding with the police, you know, everyone has their concerns, everyone has their issues, and we need to, that's very frustrating what has happened. But as citizens, we need to come together. We need to give the police a chance also to, you know, reply. You know, no one's perfect. Let those who cast first stone not have a sin or something like that. So I just wanted to say that too. Thank you.
Next, we have S.B. Ford, followed by Aaron Futrell.
Hello, my name is S.B. Ford. I live in Ward 3 in Aurora. I'm here today to ask for the City Council to investigate and deeply reflect on the circumstances surrounding the killing of Jordell Richardson. I want to highlight what Jordell's family is asking for: the firing and indictment of both police officers involved in Jordell's death and the firing of interim police chief Acevedo. In addition, patterns of abuse in policing in Aurora suggest a need for systemic restructure and systemic solutions. Jordell was a 14-year-old boy who did not deserve to be shot and killed by Aurora police. His family does not deserve to lose him. This should be a crisis. This should be a time when the city comes together to ask, what can we do so this never happens again? This should be a wake-up call. Instead, it's a pattern. When I first read in the paper about the details of what happened, I felt a chill in my heart. And as I have been learning more, there is so much familiarity to the details of what happened to Elijah McClain. In fact, even many of the people in this room who are speaking on this and asking City Council to respond then are back today. I know there are others who should be named here who I have not learned about. As an Aurora resident, I have a strong desire for our city to be safe for all kids, and knowing that is not for many, that young Black people cannot be free to be themselves for fear of their own lives. Some of being young is about making mistakes. When I was 15, I got into a car accident, and I left the scene because I panicked, because I was 15 and I was very young. I had to go to court. I had to pay fines. I could have gone to jail, and I didn't. One reason that I was actually late today is because I accidentally bumped into somebody. I got calmly out of the car. I talked to the person. We exchanged information. I'm going to handle it. I had an immense amount of privilege in both of those interactions, but what I've been really reflecting on my way here the most is that I got to grow up, and I got to learn from those mistakes. Jordell won't get that privilege, and he should have, excuse me. His family should have gotten to see him grow up and go to high school. They should have seen him graduate. One way to make amends is to look at alternatives to policing, to find ways to hold police officers accountable independent of the police department, finding ways to repair and heal and ensure that this never happens again. We
Ms.
can learn
Ford-
from our
Ms. Ford, your time is up.
Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Aaron Futrell?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing me to come and speak. Usually when I speak, I'm very passionate about things, and today is 9/11. I'm going to ask you to remember where you were on 9/11. I'm sure Jordell Richardson's parents will always remember where they were. I'm sure that the parents of the young man who was just killed on the light rail will always remember where they were when they got the call that their young man was killed. We all remember where we were when Elijah McClain was killed. I know a lot of you up here serve on public safety committees and absolutely have created some amazing ideas. Some I agree with, some that I don't. I'm going to thank those people for those creative ideas coming out of my mouth. That is surprising. But thank you, Councilmember Jurinsky, because I know you care about public safety. Thank you, Juan Mercano and Allison Combs. When I came up here a couple months ago talking about safety at RTD, you guys immediately responded. That's just a few examples. So I'm coming up here during public comment asking, because I've seen in the last few weeks bipartisan support, that you guys work together once again with public safety, especially when it comes to APD. I'm not calling for the chief's firing. I think the chief makes mistakes, but he deserves a chance to actually lead and show the city of Aurora what he can do. However, the cops that have literally just been on the force for 6 months to a year that are killing innocent people, shooting first, asking questions later, they absolutely need to go rather than back at their desk job or on the streets. We literally just read about how the Halo cameras on Colfax and Havana captured a crime in action, but the police officers shot the victim of a crime who was defending himself. And we want to bring reserve officers with less training? That's problematic. It's a great idea on paper. It really is. And I understand that things are being worked out in language so that situation won't happen again, but we got to make sure that it doesn't happen again because the city of Aurora and the citizens deserve better. Thank you.
Mayor, that was the last speaker.
A motion is in order for the adoption of the agenda.
Mayor,
Councilmember Bergen.
motion to approve the agenda.
It's been moved by Councilmember Bergen, seconded by?
Coombs.
Second by Councilmember Coombs to approve the agenda. Discussion? Seeing none, call for the question on the adoption of the agenda.
Councilmember Marcano? Mayor Kaufman?
Mayor votes yes.
Councilmember Jurinsky?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Next item before us is the consent calendar on motions, item number 10A1 to item number 10A8.
Mayor, motion to approve 10A1 through 10A8.
It's moved by Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, seconded by?
Sundberg.
Seconded by Councilmember Sundberg to approve the consent calendar motions, item number 10A1 to 10A8. Discussion? Seeing none, call for the question on the adoption of the consent calendar on motions.
Mayor Kaufman,
Mayor votes yes.
Councilmember Jurenski.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Next item before us is the adoption of the consent calendar resolutions and ordinances, item number 11A1 to 11B6.
Mayor, motion to approve 11A1 through 11B6.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, seconded by
Sundberg.
Councilmember Sundberg to approve item number 11A1 to 11A6. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, call for the question on the adoption of the consent calendar on resolutions and ordinances.
Councilmember Zvonek.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Reports. A report by the mayor. I'm going to go quickly through some issues. Whitman was able to take a tour of our 2 pallet home communities for individuals experiencing homelessness on August 24th, and got to interview some of the residents there as well as talk to the case managers. That is a contract by Salvation Army. On August 29th, there was a presentation by APD's Internet Crimes Against Children a section on human trafficking at the Tower Community Fellowship Church. I thought the APD did a great job on talking about how to identify human trafficking and the ramifications of it. Did a ride-along on Monday, September 4th with Officer Michaela Wiley in District Number 3, a very impressive officer with the Aurora Police Department. Attended, along with Councilmember Sundberg and staff members, to include our Chief Judge, the Arvada Court, a specialized court for low-level offenses for the homeless, and a very impressive briefing, update on our Ready to Work program, Work First program for to help the homeless achieve self-sufficiency. On September 7th, Home Depot flew in some of their senior folks who were involved in loss prevention to talk about actions that they're taking, and so we'll follow up with what, in addition, the Aurora Police Department might be able to do to assist them in terms of preventing theft. Attended a Buckley Task Force meeting organized by Congressman Jason Crow, a very effective meeting hosted by the base commander, Colonel Heidi Dexter, where Senator Hickenlooper and Senator Bennett were both in attendance, and I thought that was a great opportunity to talk about challenges with the F-16 aircraft, the Air National Guard, and energy issues on the base to support their operations. Today I went out with a parking enforcement officer and to really understand what they do, and they do a lot more than we think they do. It's not just parking enforcement. They're looking for stolen vehicles, and he was able to not just deal with parking problems in terms of semi-trucks and illegally parked, but identified vehicles without license plates and to assess whether they were stolen or not by looking at the VIN number and looking it up on his onboard computer. And then we did identify a stolen vehicle that was dumped in an area. And again, he was able to do it through the VIN number of the vehicle to determine whether it was stolen. So I think we don't give the credit to these folks that they deserve. Mayor Pro Tem.
No report.
Councilmember Jurenski.
No report.
Councilmember Lawson.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to thank all of my colleagues and the mayor for approving the Chance Sports, the Positive Pack Service Dogs, and the Colorado Soccer Foundation. Thank you. Those are going to be positive programs, and I know we have more to come, but for our youth. So thank you to all of my colleagues for that. For my Pfizer report, Congress returns this month with a lengthy to-do list. Lawmakers have until September 30th to avoid a government shutdown by passing a continuing resolution. Also on Congress agenda is the FAA reauthorization, the National Defense Authorization Act, the Farm Bill, disaster relief, and funding for Ukraine. Governor Polis signed an executive order to expand work-based learning opportunities throughout the state, including internships, pre-apprenticeships, and fellowships. And this week, Friday, Pfizer will hold its meeting this Friday at 1 to discuss some federal legislation and state ballot initiatives. That's the end of my report, Mayor.
Very well. Councilmember Joinski.
No report.
Councilmember Zvonek.
No report.
Councilmember Murillo.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to reiterate that my September town hall is canceled. We're still working on scheduling a candidate forum. And then just wanted to make folks aware in the Ward 1 area that there is an organization that is paying for and helping plant 3 trees for households in Ward 1. They can be fruit-bearing trees. I think there's a lot of flexibility in the type of trees, but if you maybe have an older tree that needs replacing, they're offering it at no cost, and happy to share contact information. It's a little too hard to say now, but again, replacing some older trees, a free resource for you all if you would like to take advantage of that.
Councilmember Sundberg.
Thank you, sir. Let's see. Earlier this evening, I met with Deputy City Manager Laura Perry and Jason Batchelor, Jacob Cox, and we looked at an upcoming terawatt company that will be bringing electric vehicle charging to semis out in Northeast Aurora, along I-70. It's a few years out and very fascinating topic, but it will also possibly provide temporary truck parking in the meantime on their 54 acres they're allowing. But a fascinating subject. Hopefully we'll see semi-trucks that will go 500 miles or more on an electric charge. They'll be charged here in Aurora. 30 megawatt electricity provision. By comparison, the Empire State Building uses 9 megawatts. I enjoyed seeing the problem-solving homelessness court with you, sir. That was quite fascinating. One small step, entering the homelessness through phases of progress and recovery. And October 19th will be the town hall meeting for Ward 2 with my colleague, Daniel Jawinski. Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, a couple things. My town hall was last Wednesday where we had APD come out, talked around a variety of subjects regarding things happening with APD. A lot of discussion was around the speeding around the city and looking at ways to mitigate those in certain areas in the city. Also looking at issues around ATVs and smaller motorcycles that are kind of been seen up and down regular streets and ways to kind of mitigate some of that traffic there. Also attended a function with Restoration Outreach Program. They had a second annual 5K in North Aurora, their event Saturday. Aurora Central came out, their cross-country team came out and ran with the people in the community. We also had APD's video gaming truck out there. Aurora Water was out there as well. And Aurora Economic Development had 5 food trucks there, which gave out food to everybody in the community as well as the runners there for that. And then I also got to tour the Emerald Fields dispensary on Havana, so that was interesting.
Councilmember McConnell.
Right, thank you, Mayor. So a lot of our residents had the opportunity to eat real well this weekend. I had a chance to swing by the Taste of the Middle East on Saturday and Ethiopia Day at Hinckley on Sunday. Both events were fantastic. The food was great, and it was really exciting to see so many of our residents out and just enjoying some of the diversity that our city has to offer. Our next Ward 4 meeting is going to be this Thursday, September 14th at Colorado Early Colleges. That's at 1400 South Abilene, and we're starting at 6:30 p.m. We're going to be getting an update on the Build Up Aurora program, followed by a discussion on Vision Zero, and then we're going to close the meeting out with a discussion on human scale development. We're going to have snacks and dessert options from Cuba Bakery and Cafe, so don't miss out. Hope to see y'all then.
Councilmember Coombs.
Thank you, Mayor. So likewise, I was able to attend the Taste of the Middle East and Ethiopian Day, and Ellis really enjoyed the Ethiopian food that I brought home for them yesterday. As well, this weekend, there was the funeral of Lumumba Sayers, which I did attend, a member of our community who was tragically lost to gun violence, and was able to attend a ceremony at Cherokee Trail High School honoring Cynthia Francis for her military service, and was able to attend our Aurora Fox Art Center Gala, which was a wonderful and very fun event catered by Saj, at which I also learned that it would only cost $14,000 to make sure that all of our actors within the theater stay ahead of Denver's minimum wage and keep us competitive and well-paying as a city for our actors. And then finally, our Ward 5 Town Hall meeting, regular Town Hall meeting this month will be tomorrow at the Central Rec Center at 6 p.m. It will be a candidate forum for, it looks like the mayor and Ward 5. I haven't heard from any other at-large candidates, and I'm not going to be the only at-large candidate speaking because I don't think that would be appropriate. And then on the 16th, we have our quarterly Saturday town hall meeting, which will be about safe streets and multimodal transportation at 10:30 a.m. at Mission Viejo Library. Thank you.
Councilmember Bergen.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 31st, I was able to attend a public safety forum at High Point Church and got to address the audience and say a few words and thank our first responders for everything that they do. And then my town hall is on the 20th from 6 to 8 at Heritage Eagle Bend Clubhouse. We'll have presentations on open space and as well as Build Up Aurora, and then I'll have traffic and road updates as well. And then just lastly, being that it is 9/11, I think it's really important that we remember that day in our country where so many lives were changed forever. And I think one of the things that came out of that was how Americans came together in unity. And I think that's important for us to remember as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And just one point of clarification, and that is in talking with the city attorney, that it is a statewide requirement that we have APD by the vehicle when it is towed. And that's not to the city's discretion. With that, meeting adjourned.